StraighTAllDay.com.
Show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we are on part 2 of 3. I'm going to share with you some businesses that you can start right now. So this is an ideas series for any of you who is trying to figure out what your next move is going to be. Maybe you're looking for a side hustle, you're looking for something you can do business-wise to bring in some extra dollars. Maybe you're looking for something that you want to bring in all the dollars through your business, and you're just trying to figure out what business you can go into. You're looking for some ideas, you want to know how you can get started, you want to know where is there an opportunity and what skills you will need in order to make these happen. You are in the right place, because I am telling you specifically what these are, what you need to do, why there is an opportunity here, and I'm going to tell you how you can get help actually getting started with all these things. I'm basically being your one-stop shop for your career right here on this show. And I'm not even being tongue-in-cheek, I'm being dead serious. Now, before we get into this, let me remind you all, I send out daily motivation texts for free every single morning to everyone who's in my text community. You would like to receive this message, and why would you not? I mean, you already listened to this show. If you can give me 25, 30 minutes of your attention to listen to this, why would you not take 30 seconds to read a motivational text message that you get for free? I mean, you don't pay for text on your phone, right? You might as well get the text. Here's the number: 305-384-6894. Every morning when I send that message out, it's going to get you focused, sharp, and on point for the day in front of you. Sometimes that text is going to challenge you. Sometimes that text is going to ask you a question. Either way, this text is going to give you value. You get value from this show, you can get value from the text because they're coming from the same source. So text me. The number is down below in the description in case you missed it. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is where you can get help directly from me for getting your correct and conditioned mindset for employing the type of things I'm going to talk about here in this episode. The strategy for actually making it work, the system for making it work over and over and over again, and the accountability so that you execute consistently. All of those things, amongst others, you will get as a member of Work on Your Game University, where you are being coached by me. You can ask me questions, you will get on live calls with me, and you will have me as a resource for getting your business, your career exactly on the track that it needs to be on. And you always know you have at least one extra set of eyes, being mine, that has the experience, has the know-how, and has the ability to explain these things to you. Again, if you listen to this show, you already know I can help you because you're listening to the show. So what would it be like if you could work with me directly, and we're focusing directly and specifically on your stuff and your needs and what you're working on? I mean, you already know. You already have sold yourself on this idea. It's just a matter of you going to workonyourgameuniversity.com and taking the next step, which is very simple, because on that site it's very easy for you to know exactly what to do next. So the number and the link to Work on Your Game University are both listed down below in the description of the show. I've simplified. I made things very simple here so nobody can be confused by any of the steps that you need to take the next step. So now, with all that being said, let's get into part 2 of 3, which is business ideas that you can start right now. These are not even ideas. These are full-fledged businesses that you can start right now, regardless of your situation, regardless of what you're working on, regardless of what you are doing. And I'm gonna tell you the skills that you will need for these, and I'm telling you why this is an opportunity. I mean, really, like, you could be charged for this. I could charge you for like a three credit college course, what I'm gonna be giving you here over these 3 episodes, and I'm giving it to you for free. This is why what I do, my program is called Work on Your Game University, because this is literally a university. I'm giving you the education that you need to take yourself to the next step. And look, you ain't even paying for this. All right, all I'm asking for is your time and attention. Let's get into it. Number 4, virtual assistant. Now, everyone here has heard of being a virtual assistant. You've heard of the concept. Maybe some of you have one. Maybe you have had one. Maybe you are thinking about hiring one. But have you thought about being a virtual assistant? This is another broad category, but a huge opportunity. Why is this a huge opportunity? Because entrepreneurs out there, and these people, and it doesn't have to just be entrepreneurs. It's not limited to entrepreneurs. There are athletes out there who need virtual assistants. There are entertainers who need virtual assistants. There are CEOs. There are middle managers. There are people who work in corporations who need virtual assistants. There are stay-at-home moms and dads who need virtual assistants. Let me explain to you why. then this is why this is such a huge opportunity, because anyone could use a virtual assistant if they understood the value of a virtual assistant. There are many people out there, think of somebody in my lane, for example, who need things done online and could use an extra set of hands, eyes, and brains that they can get from another person like you to take care of things so that they don't have to take care of them. You do not need to be as smart as the person who you work for to be a virtual assistant. But what you do need to be is competent enough to help them with things that need to be done online. That's the virtual part. Most of your work is going to be online, that they simply don't want to or don't have the time or space to do on their own. And virtual doesn't have to be all online. It can just be you taking care of things that don't require you to physically be in the same space that they're in. So let me give you an example. There used to be this company. Actually, this company may still exist. I'm going to look them up. I'm not going to say their name because I'm not sure they still exist. And I'm also not going to say their name because I'm not going to promote their company. But because they had to pay me if they want me to promote their company. I'm looking them up, and it looks like they do still exist. I'm gonna look and see what they're still doing, because I might actually hire these folks again. Their website kind of looks like they haven't updated it since the last time I talked to them. I'm looking. Yeah, it looks like they haven't updated their website in a long time. So no, I probably would not hire these folks because it doesn't look like they updated their website in like 7 years. But there is a company that I had once contracted, and they do still exist. And any of you could do a better job than what they're doing, where they basically would take care of any task that could be done remotely, any remote task. That's what virtual assistance means, any remote task. And you told them what the task was, you gave them whatever tools they needed to do it, and they would do it for you. So for example, has any of you ever had to call the bank or call a credit card company and have you on hold forever? Or like the Social Security company, or like the local government or the federal government, and you have to get something done and you got a call to do it, and you have to wait on the phone to get it done, and you don't want to wait on the phone, you don't have the time. A virtual assistant can wait on the phone for you. You tell them what they need to know, and they can get the thing done on your behalf. That's what a virtual assistant can do. So any of you want to do that? So I told you all the story a couple episodes ago, how I had to call American Express and they had to call my bank. And now technically I was the one who would have to do that because of certain information that they need. But listen, there's nothing stopping you from having someone else do it on your behalf. As long as it's a male or a female, they can't lie. So let's say if your name is Lisa, they're going to assume that that's a female. So you get a female assistant. They can call and say that they're you. How would they know? As long as they have your information, they got your password, your security word, your credit card information, your social security, as long as you're willing to give it to your assistant, whoever it is, and let them call on your behalf and get things verified, whatever it needs to be. They can do that for you. So virtual assistant doesn't just have to be stuff that's done on the computer. It's anything that can be done remotely. But you think of someone in my lane, I absolutely can use people, and I do use people who can do things for me just through the internet. You don't have to physically be in the same room as me, but there's a lot of stuff that I need done because most of my work is done on the internet. So all of you out there who are thinking of, especially those of you who are, let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, or you want to be a stay-at-home mom, but right now you're not, and you're like, well, how can I replace the income that I'm making at my not at home job by working from home? How can I do it? You want to become a virtual assistant. If you are competent at what you do and you're really good at being organized, and these are certain things that, and me as an entrepreneur, you can use me as a resource here because I can help you out with things that people like me need. And one thing that people like me need is someone who is highly organized, someone who can organize a calendar, someone who can keep an inbox in order, someone who is good at, you're good at typing, you're good at handling emails, you're good at doing things online. Let's say you can handle certain things like Google products like Google Docs, Gmail, Google Sheets, those type of things. You can handle any type of financial transactions. You're good at keeping those things organized. You're good at just doing clerical work. So if I need you to do some data entry types of things, or I need you to tighten up some things that I have in my back end on like Google Docs or Google Drive or things like that. I need you to make sure that these orders are going out to the right, make sure these shipments are going out to the right place. If you can do those type of things for an entrepreneur, listen, I know a whole lot of entrepreneurs, they need this. Many entrepreneurs are highly unorganized. They are good at being creative, but they're not good at management. They're not good managers. You as VAs, virtual assistants, that's what VA stands for. If you're a good manager, you're good at managing stuff, you can absolutely do this from home. As long as you are organized, you got a Wi-Fi connection, and you can dedicate a few hours to this. The good thing about being a virtual assistant is that it's not a 9 to 5 type of job. It's not like your boss, whoever you work for, is sitting there breathing down your neck, making sure you're working at certain hours like you would at the job probably that you have now, especially when you have to show up physically to the place because they can watch you. When you're a virtual assistant, listen, I don't care what time my virtual assistant works. All right, if I have assistants working for me, I don't care what time you work, just get the job done. I'm gonna tell you, here's what I need done. I need this, and this done by this date. I don't care when you do it. I don't care how much time it takes you to get it done. Just get it done. As long as it's done, I'm happy. That's the way entrepreneurs work. So any of you looking for a work from home job, and listen, you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom. You could be a college kid. You just graduated. You can have 10 clients you're working for. As long as you're getting everything done as the way it's supposed to be done and you work out a price, you can have a business tomorrow if you can do this. Now, the key to all of these jobs that I'm laying out here, and I should have said this yesterday, is your ability to sell your ability to do it. See, it's not just can you do it, can you sell someone on the fact that you can do it? And this is why the salesperson is the most important one, because your ability to bring the money in is always going to be in high demand. So let's talk more. We're still on this point number 4 here, talking about virtual assistants. Again, you don't have to be as smart as the person you work for. You don't even have to know their line of work that well. So let's say you're working for me. I'll just use myself here. If you're working for me, you don't need to know anything about podcasting or writing books or coaching or consulting or speaking gigs or TED Talks or what else do I do? Basketball. You don't have to know anything about any of those things. Are you organized? Do you know how to? Do you have any experience being an assistant? Do you know how to manage things? Can you keep things in order and under control? If you know how to do that, then you can probably be a good virtual assistant. And the thing is, depending on who you work for, if they're good at explaining things, then they can teach you how to do this stuff. For example, I had an assistant who was working for me 3 years ago. Now, I will say she was a female. I'm not going to say who she was, but she's a female. She was working for me about 3 years ago. And she had experience being a marketing, she had done some stuff in marketing, like doing social media for companies and things like that. But it was on it was a very basic level. And I hired her not because of her skill level. All right, and this is what I want y'all to catch. You read between the lines of this, you may notice an opportunity for yourself. I hired her not because of her skill level, but because I could see that she was very coachable, she was very receptive, and she was a good listener, and she was punctual. She was on point. When I told her to be here at a certain place, she was there. She was on time. She listened, and I could tell she was good at taking instructions. I mean, if I showed her how to do something, she would do it, she would get it, and then she could do it on her own after I showed her how to do it. That's all I needed. I didn't need someone who was already an ace, because I could train someone and teach them. And now, here's the key crux here. I am a person who is very good at explaining things. Not every entrepreneur has this skill. Some entrepreneurs know what they want, but they can't explain it. So they need someone who has a little bit higher level of competence so that you can decipher what they mean, even though they can't explain it. Now I can decipher what I mean for you. So I don't need someone who is super high level already necessarily. Now the difference is if I hire someone who's not super high level, now I have to put the time into training them. And this is what I did. This is why I'm telling this story. I might not do this again. Now, if I was to hire somebody now, I might want someone who already has these abilities so I don't have to teach them because it's my time. My time is worth more money now than it was 3 years ago. Everybody following what I'm saying here? So, this person who I hired, they did not have the skill yet, but I invested my time in training them and teaching them what I wanted them to do, and I explained to them why I wanted them to do it. I explained the ins and outs of everything, and I made this person, over the course of about 6 months, I made them from basically what was an entry-level marketing assistant to a full-fledged virtual assistant. This person was full-fledged virtual assistant, could basically work for any entrepreneur if they wanted the job. And they became so good, in fact, and this is the ending of the story, is that they got hired away by another business for 3 times what I was paying them because I made them that good. I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. I want you to catch in between the lines of what I'm telling you here. If you are coachable, if you know how to listen, if you have some experience, if you know how to use the internet, you are adept at using web services and internet, things like that, you can become a virtual assistant very easily. You just need to find a busy person who has a lot going on, who is making money though, because they got to be able to pay you. And you can work for them and help keep their shit organized, and they will pay you for that. This is a huge opportunity because there are so many lifestyle entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are doing pretty much all of their business through the internet. If you can be the person who keeps things in order for them, that is a super valuable ability. And another thing in entrepreneurship is that it increases the value of an entrepreneur, the perceived value of an entrepreneur, when they have someone speaking on their behalf rather than them doing all the speaking themselves. So if I have my assistant send an email out on my behalf, selling me or speaking for me rather than me speaking for myself, it increases my perceived value because, all right, this person has an assistant working for them. They have a person speaking on their behalf. As long as that person is representing me in the right way, it makes me look even more valuable just because I have that person. That's just a human nature, human perception type of thing. So you are adding value to that person by being able to speak on their behalf and working for them. And this is especially true if you're American, because a lot of times entrepreneurs in the United States, we outsource virtual assistants. And I have assistants who work for me now who are based in other countries like India, Bangladesh, the Philippines. Why do we hire in those countries? Because the people in those countries have a much lower cost of living than Americans do. Like those of you who are listening to this right now, if you were to work for someone, they'll say you'll work for me as a full-time job, you're probably going to need at minimum, you're probably going to need somewhere between, at minimum, $15 an hour if you're going to work for somebody like me. Why? Because there's nowhere in America you can live where you're working full-time and you're making less than $15 an hour. Right? How are you going to pay your bills? You're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to put food on your table, even for yourself, at less than $15 an hour. So let's do the math. You're working $15 an hour at 40 hours a week. That's $600 a week, and that's $2,400 a month. In 12 months, that's $28,800 a year before taxes. I would guess that most of you listening to this full-time, if this was your full-time job, you probably could not survive on less than $15 an hour. Now we took that up to $20 an hour. $20 an hour at 40 hours a week. That comes to $3,200 a month. That comes to 38 grand a year. Let's say we went with that. Let's say we went with 38 grand a year. At $38,000 a year, I think that's like pretty close to a bare minimum that an adult, especially if you are responsible for anyone else other than yourself, you probably can't do much on anything less than that. So you're gonna need about 20 bucks an hour. I'm doing all that math to help you understand that someone in India, Bangladesh, the Philippines, their full-time expenses to live where they live is much less than what it is in America. Like somebody in the Philippines could live on less than half of that and be head of health, be in the same position as in their household that you are in your household here in America, just because it costs more money to live in America than it costs to live in these other countries. Which means if you are an American and you are going to be a virtual assistant, understand that you are not just competing against the inertia of the entrepreneur who has never had an assistant and they're doing everything on their own right now, because you have to get them to understand why they need you. First of all, you are not also competing against, competing against all the other options that this entrepreneur may have overseas. And let me give you some game here. And I'm gonna give you this free. I could charge you for what I'm about to tell you. Is that any entrepreneur who is willing to hire a virtual assistant may be looking to outsource it to overseas simply because they can save money. I can get a full-time person for less than 20 bucks an hour. I can hire a full-time virtual assistant right now and pay them $10 an hour. Where I would have, if I hired you, American, who lives in Kentucky or Iowa or California, I would have to pay you at least 20, because for your same skill set, I would have to pay you twice what I pay them. Why? Because you live in America and you can't live on $10 an hour, but they can. So you have to sell them on why they should pay you 20 instead of paying somebody in the Philippines 10. That's your job. You got to fill that in. You got to fill in that gap. All right, so again, that's free game that I just gave you right there. What I just told you, I could have charged you for it. And if you want to take this and go do something with it, at least give me a video testimonial that you got some game from me that you went and used to start your business. So you got to be confident enough to help people doing things. And I'm still on point number 4 here. Help people with doing things that they don't want to do on their own or they can't do on their own. That's all virtual assistance is. You are someone's assistant doing things for them, and the virtual just means, again, you're not in the same room. It can be internet, on phone, etc. Now here's one advantage that you as an American has over someone overseas, is that you can be in the same time zone, or you're pretty close. At the most, 3-hour difference? If I'm on the East Coast or on the West Coast, it's only 3 hours apart. Now if you're in the Philippines, we might be 9, 10, 11 hours apart. That means you can get on the phone for me and you can make calls for me at the same time that I'm awake, you're awake. Now it doesn't mean someone in the Philippines can't make calls, because again, when was the last time you called the bank or the credit card company? Guess where those people are? Those people answering the phones. All right, they ain't in New York. All right, those people are overseas, most of them. And why do they hire people overseas? The same reason that you would, same reason that I would, because they're cheaper. So you're a college student trying to make some extra money. You're a stay-at-home mom who wants to, or you want to be a stay-at-home mom, or you're someone who's just looking for a job opportunity, and you don't need your job to be somewhere that you actually show up to every day. You would love to work from home and maybe you're still scared from COVID, whatever the situation is, a virtual assistant role is perfect for you if you have the competency to do it, and you got to have the right makeup. You got to have the right mental makeup to be a virtual assistant. Not everybody is made out to be an assistant. The assistant mindset is someone who is in the helper role. Like, you want to help somebody. You want to be in the number 2 spot and help another person. If you're a person who wants to be the star of the show, virtual assistant role is not for you. All right, this is the supporting role. You want to be the person behind the scenes who is helping the main person who is on the front of the scenes. And again, this ain't for everybody. So the key skill is you got to have highly developed people skills. Highly developed people skills, because you got to be able to listen to the person that you're working with, and you basically want to be their eyes and ears. So your job is to make their job easy. And I tell my assistants when I hire them, your job is to make my job easy. That's your job. Now, what exactly does that mean? If you don't inherently understand that, then this is not the role for you. All right, so those of you who got it when I said that, you may be a good virtual assistant. If you didn't get it when I said that, if that confused you, it's probably not the job for you. But keep listening, because I got more. This is only point number 4. You must be able to relate to people on a human basis, and you got to be able to sell. All right, all of these are things you got to be able to do to be a virtual assistant, because you are selling. Remember, you may be speaking for and representing the person that you work for via emails, text messages, phone calls. You may have to do those things. You probably will do those things, especially if you're based in America. If I hire an American virtual assistant, which I will be doing soon, when I hire an American assistant, you're going to be representing me. You're going to be speaking for me. You're going to be getting on the phone for me. You'll be getting on Zoom calls for me. You will be seen, you will be heard, and you will be read. And you must have very good people skills. You must have very, very, very strong communication skills. And I'm going to be weighing your communication skill. I'm going to be weighing your communication against how I would communicate. Not saying you need to be me. Not saying you need to be better than me, but I need to look at your communication and say, okay, that's acceptable. The way you said that is acceptable. And that's important. That communication skill is a big piece. And the better the communicator, the person that you're working for, the better the communicator you need to be, because they're going to be looking at you and thinking of how they would say it. So if you're working with someone who's a shit communicator, you don't have to be that good. But you're working with someone who's good, you got to be good, because you're representing their brand. So if your communication sucks and you're sending emails, well, and I'm reading that as a possible customer, as a prospect, I'm like, all right, this communication sucks. I'm not buying from this person. I'm not hiring this person to be my consultant. I'm not hiring this person to speak for me. I'm not hiring this person to coach me, because, well, their assistant can't communicate pretty well. How good is their communication? Probably not that good if their assistant's this bad. They hired this person. They allowed this person to represent their company. You see what I'm saying? So this is a big thing as to when it comes to being a virtual assistant. And I'm going to make this episode, actually, I'm going to spread this out. I thought this was going to be a 3-part series. I might make this a 4-part series. I'm going so long just on this point of being a virtual assistant. I might make this an episode all to itself before I move on to the rest of this series. What else I got in here? Yeah, let's go with, we probably make this episode all to itself. So let's talk a little bit more about the virtual assistant role and why this is so valuable and why this is such a valuable piece. And because I've hired many virtual assistants, this is probably why I'm putting so much time into just this piece here. Any of you who wants to get into this role, again, it's your competence on the internet, we already laid out. It is your ability to communicate very clearly, is another one that we laid out. It is your ability to relate to people, and is your ability to, again, play that number 2 role, that supporting cast role. That's really what you're doing. You're playing that supporting cast role. Again, this is not for the person who wants to be the star of the business. So I didn't plan on this one being a whole episode, but because I spent so much time on this, I'm gonna make this the whole one, and then I will go into 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 over the last 2 episodes of this series. So we're gonna wrap this one up just on this, and let me recap this one, which is about being a virtual assistant. We're talking about jobs at businesses rather than you can start right now. Now, virtual assistant is a very broad category, but a huge opportunity. So I didn't really lay out points here because I spent so much time just on this one. But there are many entrepreneurs out there. If you think of someone in my lane, for example, who need things done and could use an extra set of eyes, hands, and brains that they borrow from another person, the virtual part just means remote. Just means outside of being in the same physical environment. So this can be a parent who wants to stay at home, a college student wanting to make some extra money, or someone who's just looking for a job or business opportunity is not in your specific geographic area. Virtual assistant job is perfect for you. So this is a place where being a jack of all trades type is actually a feature, because you can help with pretty much anything. And a virtual assistant, a good one, can pretty much handle any task. And again, what I tell you that I tell my assistants their job is, your job is to make my job easy. And making my job easy means anything I put on in your lap, you handle it. That's what it means. Anything I put in your lap, you handle it. So your specific job duties, there is not like 7 things and these are your job, and anything outside of these 7 you can't do. No, anything I need you to do, you do it. That's your job as a virtual assistant. Now, some of you are listening to this and you're like, Dre, it sounds like you're describing me. This would be the perfect job for me. You need to go look and find somebody you can work for as a virtual assistant. And if this sounds like a complete torture to you, then this is not for you. But since I put so much time into this one, we're just gonna make this its own episode. And when my show notes come out here, this is not gonna have points like my normal episodes do. But this is point number 4 in the series, where it's still gonna lay out 9. I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the future episodes of this series. But since I took so much time on this, we'll just make this an episode in itself. So we're gonna wrap it up just on that. And I will tell you, text me. Tell me the best idea you got from this masterclass. If I gave you something that you could use, those of you who are looking to hire an assistant, you probably got some stuff you can use from this. And those of you who are looking to be an assistant, you got some stuff you can use from this. My number is 305-384-6894. Also, you can text me just to get that daily motivation every day. And workonyourgameuniversity.com. If you want to take any of these ideas and turn it into a business, and you need the mindset to do it, you need the strategy, you need the systems to make it work, and the accountability to execute on it, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I will help you put all these things in place and coach you along the way. Tomorrow, we'll get into part 3 of now. It's going to be 4. I thought it would be 3. It's going to be 4 now of businesses you can start right now. Work on your game. Dre all day.